Welcome to Bear Football. My name is Aldo Gandia, filling in for John Buffone and Coach T as the day off. Boy, I was getting ready for a celebration show, and then all of a sudden, like within the last 5-10 minutes,
2 minutes and 59 seconds. 2 minutes and 59 seconds left in the game. They're up by 12 points. And I was about to come out here, Aldo. Sorry to interrupt. Sorry to cut you off.
No. Please go.
Because I was coming here, I'm like, you know what? This could be, because I thought the game was over. When they went in at that almost 8-minute drive, when it was 13 minutes in the fourth quarter, they got the ball, they got that 12-point lead. They gave the ball back. It was like 2 minutes, 59 seconds, I believe. I'm sorry. It was like 4 minutes and 18 seconds, I believe, when they gave the ball back to Detroit. They were down by 12. They go in and score that first time. I was about to I tweeted out, I'm like, this could be, I'm thinking to myself after the post, this could be a job-saving victory for Matt Eberflus and his staff, because to go into Detroit and to pretty much, other than a couple of drives here and there, they pretty much dominated this whole game. To beat up a 7-2 team that was leading the division, that was flying high. And I'm like, this could be that game that Eberflus has been looking for. And like you said, with 4:18 left, they go and they easily score down on the defense. And then the Bears do, 3-and-out, give the ball back to Detroit. And with 2:59, they go back and they score. And how did they go down the field, Aldo? The way I've been criticizing this defense from the beginning, the middle of this defense is weak. And this is how you beat the defense. The NFL has a script on how to beat this 4-3 cover 2 defense. And that's what they did. They went down the middle, whether it's, easy throws, passes, so on and so forth. And they just drove down both times, and they put this game away. And now, so I'll let you take from there. But it was just, it went from being a game-saving, job-saving game for Eberflus to possibly now this could be the nail in his coffin.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you there. You've got to win games in this league, and when you have a 2-score lead in a game that late in the game, it's on you and how you've coached this team and how you lead this team to take them to victory. And time of possession: Bears 40 minutes and 24 seconds. Lions 19 out of 36. Look at the turnovers.
Yes.
Stevenson had an interception. Edwards an interception. Edmonds an interception. DeMarcus Gates had a fumble recovery. This had all the ingredients for victory, and Eberflus deserves some credit. Maybe he is a good defensive coordinator, but when you add everything up with Matt Eberflus and including this super disappointing loss, it's time now for Ryan Post to start to open up that file of potential successors and start to think about, when do I bring these guys in for interviews? When's the earliest possible time to talk to people? Because this is not sustainable, and you leave a stain on the player's psyche, and so you need a new voice in the locker room. You need a new leader at Hallis Hall who is going to erase these stains from these players' minds, because there are good players here. Ryan Post has put together a fairly good roster. After gutting the roster entirely, he's put together some pretty good players that need further development and need the kind of leadership that's going to lead to victories. That's what we don't have with this team right now. I hate to say it for Eberflus, but he needs to find a moving company because his days in Chicago are now numbered.
Although you're gonna have to reel me in because I have a lot of emotion going here right now. My analytic brain is kind of fighting with my fan brain, and I need you to reel me in here. All right, so I'm gonna
Okay.
go off, just to pull the strings in and cut me off.
Okay.
But
You got it.
It go from you win the turnover battle 4-1, okay, and you're a defensive minded head coach, and you have a 12-point lead, like I just said, with less than 5 minutes left in the game. You should win these games. You should win these games, right?
Mhm.
And the fact that you can't do this, they keep talking about the culture they're building. Well, you know what? It's a losing culture. This team needs to learn how to win. And Eberflus looks like him, seems to be a good person, a good dude. But in terms, and probably a good defensive coordinator, but in terms of a head coach that inspires a team to rally and to buck up and to win these tight games and to pull these victories out, he just hasn't done it. And he can't lead them through it. And it's no knock on him. Some of the most successful college coaches, some of the most successful offensive and defensive coordinators in the NFL have not been able to be good head coaches. So it's not a knock on him. He just can't do it. And you need to bring a guy in that could do it. And I've talked about this on Buffon 55. I talked about it on our this post-game show. There are a number of candidates out there. One might even be across the football field, tearing up that Eberflus-led defense and Mr. Ben Johnson there, and with scoring those touchdowns in the last couple minutes there of the game. So that could be a possible. And having him seeing Fields live and do what he did today, I wonder if Ben Johnson has any ideas in terms of, I'm wondering how I can use this kid's talents in my offense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there was a lack of daringness, if that's a word, from Eberflus in that fourth quarter. It was so safe, to go into that prevent defense. T3P podcast says, although remember, we went toe-to-toe with the best in the NFC. I understand that, but there are no consolation prizes here. At a certain point, you've got to fucking start winning these games. I know we don't swear on this show, and I just did, so I apologize to people.
Okay.
Yeah, it really is. It really is a fuck game. Yeah. It really, really is. I mean, I was so ready to do a celebration. I was so happy that Justin Fields was back. I posted this. Did I load it? Yeah, I think I did. I posted this on Twitter. I got chills, they're multiplying, and I'm losing control. Cause Fields is back, and he's hitting more. It's electrifying. Woo! That's a game-winning play.
We talked about at halftime that he missed them in the first half on that same kind of route. Came back second half. I love the fact what he did there, and I saw it a couple of times in this game is him climbing the ladder, stepping up in the pocket, not retreating, not turning around, not kind of retreating away and running into the defensive lineman. Step up in the pocket, buy some more time, and then hits in stride. That's what we talked about in the first half. He missed him. He hit him in that second half. I'm telling you, it all looked like it was a victory. And I've been one of the biggest proponents about firing the staff. But I was ready to come out here and say, you know what? This could be a victory that might save this staff. This could energize this football team. You could see them go on a possible, God forbid, 2-3 game winning streak and save this man's job and this entire staff's job. But what happens? Doesn't come to fruition. They managed to blow a 12-point lead with less than 5 minutes left in the game, and a game that you controlled throughout the football game. I think we both agree the Bears pretty much dominated this game. We talked about time possession. We talked about the turnover battle, everything. All right, Montez Sweat got his first sack. I mean, the defensive line was creating some pressure there. You're blitzing. Jack Sanborn got that first sack on that first drive in that second half. To get off the field for third down. Everything was rolling, and then it just completely falls apart. And I go from possibly praising this staff now saying, you know what, that's it. I was right. I'm done with this staff.
Yeah, it's very, very difficult to not blame this staff, and it's going to be interesting to see and hear what the players say and behave based on this incredibly disappointing loss. Everyone, when you lose a game like this, players are no different than fans. You start to wonder, whose fault was this?
Right.
Whose fault was this? Right. And I would be shocked if anyone blamed it on Justin Fields. But slick sophistication, I don't know if he's making a question, but he says this loss would be blamed on Fields. So I'm not sure if he's blaming it on Fields or what. Danny, your thoughts about Justin Fields in this game?
If Tyson Bagent was playing this game, they wouldn't have been in this game. I'm playing.
Very
They would
true.
not have been in this game. All right. This
Very
game,
true.
they were in this game. They were leading this game partly because of Justin Fields. And now the fact, I don't know if that's being sarcastic or the fact that the ball was strip sacked at the end out of his hand. I mean, he was looking away. Darnell Wright was beat by Hutchinson. I'm not sure why there wasn't a chip on Hutchinson. He's the best pass rusher. We've talked about it before. I have to go back and see the play in terms of the setup, the scheme, or how they're lined up. If they had 5 guys blocking, I'm not sure what they were doing, but it just happened real quick. Wright got beat. Hutchinson came in, swiped in and got the ball out of his hand. Justin wasn't looking at him. The ball came out, and that was a safety, and that was pretty much the game there. So again, if that's what they're pointing at, that's just someone that doesn't like Justin Fields, plain simple. But if Justin Fields wasn't playing in this game would not have been this close. The Bears would have no chance in this football game.
Don Burr's in the chat room, and he's shit talking. He's saying that the Lions toyed with us. No, that's bullshit. You're just trolling with us. The fact of the matter is that all week long, Dan Campbell was talking about this Bears team and talking about how much more improved they are. I mean, the Lions scored 72 points in 2 games on the Bears last season. That didn't happen. This defense played fairly well, and if we could have gotten some first downs there in the second half, especially in the fourth quarter, we had an opportunity to score a touchdown. Instead, we went conservative, and Cairo Santos got the 3-pointer. But if we score a touchdown, this game is over for the Lions.
That was 4th and 1. And that was where like you go, it's 4th and 1. You've been running the ball successfully there. They tried the tush push, or whatever you want to, brotherly shove, or are they calling it now? And they got, Justin came up short, but man, it's like I was tempted to just go for it. Show the ball so you have nothing to lose. It's not like you're playing for playoff contention.
Exactly.
But then he's a defensive-minded coach, and they are generally conservative by nature, and that's what happened. He went for the 3 points, said, "Oh, you know what? My defense is going to stop him." And you know what? Your defense didn't stop him.
Right. Justin Fields finished with 104 yards rushing, 169 passing yards, and 1 passing touchdown. I want to talk to you, Danny, about the 169 passing yards. Clearly, this is the result of a very conservative play calling by Luke Getsy, and we can't blame him. It's like you've been saying for weeks, we are a running team. We are a running team. So you're not asking your quarterback to post a 300-yard game. You're asking him to manage the game and provide explosive plays with his legs and those deep shots downfield when you've got one-on-one with your top receivers. And so you look at these stats, especially the passing yard stats, and you start to blame Justin Fields. Can he really throw in this league? But you have to consider what he was asked to do in this offense by Luke Getsy, right?
Exactly. And the fact he was coming off of a 4 weeks layoff. He hadn't played in 4 weeks. So, I mean, obviously there had to be some rust there as well. He saw that the finger taped up. Obviously it wasn't 100%, but it was good enough for him to go out there and play with it with some pain. And then obviously the middle finger then got cut. I don't know if it was his nail or what happened there. He was bleeding profusely from his middle finger on the same throwing hand. So again, this is not, if you're a Justin Fields hater, you're going to blame this game on Justin Fields. I don't know how you can, but I mean, he had 104 yards rushing. Obviously there was a concerted effort to incorporate that quarterback run aspect of it in this game. And, he had, I believe, was it 18 or 19 carries? I forgot what the final stats were, but at one point he had 17 carries, obviously for 100 yards. But I thought he did a good job of, again, maneuvering in the pocket, escaping from pressure. I talked about earlier a couple of times, climbing the ladder in the pocket. We haven't seen Justin do that really, recently. And I talked about at halftime, like, this could have been something where Justin might have watched Tyson Bagent and said, all right, you know what? This is an opportunity for me maybe to improve there, my pocket presence, buy some more time, not necessarily just rolling up to left or rolling right, but step up in the pocket because, the guys on the edges are coming. But my middle, where you have your guys in Nate Davis and today it was Dan Feeney and then Tevin Jenkins kind of controlling those guys in the middle. Because remember, the edge is where this Lions team is really mainly with Hutchinson is where they generate that pressure. And we saw on that last play with the fumble sack. But just step up in the pocket, buy some more time. He did it a couple of times and then ran. And then saw earlier with the touchdown to DJ Moore. Step in the pocket, buy some more time, and got a nice open window to throw it to DJ Moore. So, that's something that I think he can improve on. Now it's just going ahead and kind of building on this game here today, and just saying, all right, obviously I've been saying this, Coach T's been saying this, like this is a running team. embrace it, and today he embraced it. And I think some people are going to criticize Gitti for going a little conservative on that second to last offensive possession. I wouldn't. And the only thing I would just kind of nitpick is I wanted him in the I formation with that lead blocker. We talked about it, Aldo, at halftime. Let's get into that I formation, give Foreman or Herbert a lead blocker with blasting game. And let's, and we saw some 13-yard runs. We saw some first downs there in the I formation. That's the only thing I would say, let's get in the I formation. Let's put a lead blocker in there and let's pound the ball at them. Let's, because they're going to come at us with their run defense and all that stuff, blitzing and all that stuff. Let's go at them with at least a lead blocker. He didn't do that. He's opted to go from the shotgun. I do like Justin's aggression in terms of going for Tyler Scott on that deep ball, because if they connect, that's game, ball over. And I on the TV copy, it looked like Scott maybe stopped for a little bit. And kind of
He did. I watched the 3 times.
I wasn't sure if I saw that or not, but I wanted to go back and see the all 22. But it looks like you agree as well. Like if Scott just had kept running, I think Justin hits him in stride, and that's a game over right there. So again, rookie. He had the big fumble earlier in the first half as well. So, it's hard to just pin it on him, but there's mistakes all around. But to say this one was on the offense or Justin Fields is totally, in my opinion, totally incorrect. This is you had a 12-point lead with less than 5 minutes left. You're a defensive minded head coach. You're winning the time of possession battle. You're winning the turnover battle. You should go out and close out this game with defensively and get off the football field with a victory. And they couldn't do it.
Yep. You're absolutely right about that Tyler Scott play. He slowed down a bit. It's as if he lost the ball in the air and was searching for it and then spotted it and then went back into that 5th gear, because the guy is so fast. But if he would have stayed in 5th gear and not possibly, I'm sure he lost the ball.
He got it right off his fingertips. If he hasn't stopped that 1 second, a split, not even a second, probably like a millisecond.
It's a touchdown, and then all of a sudden, those stats that we saw, that 169 yards of passing for Justin Fields, turns out to be well over 200, and it's a second passing touchdown because that was a 6. So you got to take these things into mind. And I started by saying, Eberflus has to go and so forth, and I'm a little bit wrestling with this, because I know Ryan Poles is wrestling with this too. I'm sure.
Kind of went down a little bit. Your blood pressure kind of lowered a little bit.
Exactly.
You're starting to think more calmly now.
Exactly. I mean, this thing happened so fast. I'm ready to celebrate. I had confetti ready to.
You're singing on Twitter. You're putting out songs.
Singing on Twitter. It was wild, the collapse, and so clearly, when teams collapse like that, you got to point the finger at the head coach. But at the same time, there are certain things that happened in this game that were out of the coach's power. When Tyler Scott slows down when he should be running to the ball, that's not on Eberflus. That's just God being God, the football gods being football gods. So. It's going to be interesting to see what happens. But now let's talk about this offensive line. This was a weird game. The cameras catch Braxton Jones saying, "Fuck you, I can't see." And he's taken out of the game, and then a few plays later, he's back in. There's Darnell Wright, had a kind of a so-so game. The guy's going to be a future Pro Bowler. There's no doubt about it. But for a lot of these young guys, it seemed like playing in that stadium, and I've been at that stadium before, Daddy, it is loud and an intimidating environment. It seemed like maybe the stage was a little too big, as Thomas Jones once said about Rex Grossman in the Super Bowl game. What do you think about the young players?
No, I think, although I was going to come on, it's also a part of the whole, post game I thought we were going to have was praising, the coaching staff, praising the offensive line. I think the offensive line did a pretty good job. Again, we talked about it on Buffon 55. This defense is predominantly, in terms of the pass rush pressure, is a lot of aggression, a lot of blitzing from Aaron Glenn, the defensive coordinator, also just Aiden Hutchinson. I think for pretty much the most part, they gave Justin a pretty good pocket. There was that one sack that I think Justin took the ball. He had to get rid of the ball. That was on him. He held on the ball a little bit too long. They called it a coverage sack on the broadcast, but I think kind of going back real quick, there might have been a couple of guys open. He could have just kind of, if he had anticipated the receiver's route, but we'll take a look at that in all 22s. But I think that was only sack they gave up, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. I don't have this box score in front of me right now, but I think the offense line played a good game. I think there was times where Justin had 5-6 seconds to get rid of the football. So I was like, finally, they're healthy. They got the rotation back in there. Dan Feeney and Justin were going at it back and forth in terms of the snap count, and then Feeney being late with the snap count. That was something that I think they got rectified at the end of the game. But yeah, I mean, in terms of that final couple of drives, the crowd obviously got into it. The audible noise in that dome was really loud, and the communication might have faltered here and there. And obviously, Darnell Wright got beat really badly by Aiden Hutchinson. Like I said, Aiden Hutchinson is a Pro Bowl player. Darnell Wright's a rookie, could potentially be a Pro Bowl player as well. But, for the most part, I think he did a pretty solid job, especially as a run blocker. And I keep saying, whether it's Darnell Wright or Nate Davis on the right side, or Donald Wright and Tevin Jenkins on the right side, that is the strength in terms of when you're running, in terms of your kind of running plays, run behind that side of the offensive line, because those guys are moving people off. And in terms of Braxton Jones, him and Alex Anzalone were going back and forth. I'm not because he was defending Justin for, he thought Anzalone had a cheap shot on the out of bounds then, and all of a sudden they pulled him. I don't know if that was the independent neurologist from the NFL kind of just signaling, hey, he looked like he might have had something, because he goes and you hear him saying, I can't see. So right. I don't know what was going on there, but I think Braxton Jones had a pretty good game today. I eye on him because he was pretty dominant. Again, he wasn't going against Hutchinson as much, but I think he had a pretty damn good game today. So again, if he can come in and solidify that left tackle spot, right? You got Tevin at left guard. You just got to go upgrade center, and you got Nate Davis at right tackle and right at right. Nate Davis at right guard and right at right tackle. You have the foundations, in my opinion, of a pretty solid, formidable offensive line. Big physical guys that can move guys off the line of scrimmage, and you can build off this run game. And I thought this is what we're going to talk about. Although I thought we were going to talk about that the defense came in and pretty much dominated. Jared Goff had 3 interceptions today. He had one stretch dating back from last season, 383 consecutive passes without an interception, and they picked him off 3 times, right? They had 4 turnovers in the game. They dominated time possession. They should not – the offensive line was playing great. Justin was running all over, making plays. They should have lost this game. I still can't believe they lost this game. And it all comes down to the defense, and the defensive head coordinator, which is the head coach, couldn't get them off the football field and couldn't get the ball back to the offense, or get stop the Lions from scoring, I should say, and get the ball back.
We have a lot of Detroit Lions fans in the chat room. Welcome. We'll take your shit. We know why you're talking shit, because you know what's ahead. You guys are going to choke. You guys aren't going to go to the Super Bowl. It's going to be the Detroit Lions all over again. You're going to win a division title for the first time since the division was called the NFC North, or not the North, but NFC Central. Sure. So, the Lions fans deserve to gloat a little bit, but we lost this game. You guys didn't win it, and so you're going to have to be worried about that. But I do give credit to that Detroit Lions team. They've done a great job of drafting. They've got a lot of talent on that team, and they came through and they won. Yes, King, I'm a little upset. So,
for Before 5, you did a great piece in terms of previewing the Lions for this week. And in that piece, you identified, or someone identified, I believe it was you, that they built this team from the inside out. The defense and offensive lines is how they built. They built that offensive line. You talked about earlier. I think it was halftime. We talked about they're one of the top, if not top 5 offensive lines in football. And that's how you do. And that's one of my things I've kind of stuck with Ryan Poles. Like, dude, you come in here, you tear it down. We okay, I got that. I understood it. But build from the trenches out. Now, offensive line, I got you talked right now. I give him credit. There are some pieces there that I do like. So hopefully that's taken care of. Now, this offseason, if he's still here, attack the defensive line. Attack it with everything you got, whether it's free agency, draft, build that defensive line to be stout. Because we saw some pieces today. Well, Montez Sweat, obviously, I think he's still showing off why they gave a 2nd-round pick for him. I think Dexter, another game, the young guy, had some pressure in there. He's making himself known, and he had that tip ball that ended up to being that Tremaine Edmonds interception. I think that's something. Now, if the other guy can come along, Zach Pickens, who I liked a lot, I think that's something that you can build on there. Justin Jones had a good game today. Billings is a quality veteran in there, and then you have Yannick Ngakoue got a couple of stunts in there, a couple of games he was able to get up in the middle, cause some pressure to get any sacks. But I think, like the linebackers today, TJ Edwards and Edmonds had some plays. Jack Sanborn continues to make plays. The secondary disappointed me a little bit today, although we had Stevenson with the interception. But Kyler Gordon coming off a great game versus Carolina, I think he got beaten coverage a lot by Amon St. Brown. Again, that's a Pro Bowl caliber receiver, so I thought that's a tough matchup. But I thought I just wanted to see Kyler Gordon kind of build off of that game versus Carolina and continue to show that. I think he kind of took a little bit of a step back, but not a huge step back. But I just, again, like you said earlier, there are some pieces there. And if you're the head coach and this is your forte, this is what you're brought in here for, and you can't protect a 12-point lead with less than 5 minutes left in the game, it just looks bad. It just looks bad on you.
It really does. For the Lions, I'm on Ross St. Brown had 8 catches, 77 yards, a touchdown. He was targeted 11 times. He caught 8 of them. His longest was a 16-yarder. Gibbs caught 6 passes. His longest was 14 yards. He caught everything thrown his way. Jamison Williams, the young receiver, caught 2 for 44 yards. He had the longest play of the game for the Lions, 32 yards. DJ Moore's 39-yarder was the longest in the game. Montgomery caught all 2 of the passes, headed his way for 22 yards. Sam Laporta, who's a very impressive young tight end, he caught 3 out of the 5 targets for 18 yards. And then there was some change left afterwards. That was the Detroit Lions receiving stats. And then I wanted to also add that you were talking about the sacks. It was Aiden Hutchinson was attributed with 1 sack, and Aleem McNeil had a sack for his 5th of the season. So we are awaiting.
I think the one that Justin held onto the ball a little bit long, and he could have probably got rid of it or just thrown it away. Even if it was a coverage sack, just throw the ball away. He's got to do that. And then the second one was with Hutchinson was obviously that second to last play where he stripped the ball from Justin when he wasn't looking at him. But and the other thing with defensively, and then you touched on it at the halftime, Aldo, was they could not again get off the field on third downs. The Lions finished 7 for 11 on third downs. Those 4 incompletions or failures on third down was all in the second half, right? That early third quarter. That's when the Bears took built that lead. So again, defensively, they only gave up 14 points at the halftime, but it just felt like they were not really dominating the game, even though the Bears felt like they're controlling most of the football game. So defensively, you just got to get off the football field and you got to close out these games, especially when you have double-digit point lead. Well, again, less than 5 minutes left in the football game.
Right. I want to get back to, because a lot of people in the chat are saying Fields lost this game. I want to get back to that momentarily. That's just not true. He did not lose this. If you want to criticize Justin Fields, still, there's a couple of plays, of course, that you can criticize, and Danny just did with one where he held the ball a little too long. The last turnover at the game, he probably should have looked to the right and seen that Hutchinson was coming and moved up in the pocket. But the one concern that I have with Fields is his pocket passing has to improve so that he's not relying on his legs so often. I just want to see a more accomplished passer out of the pocket, particularly when you have weapons. I think we can still list Darnell Mooney as a weapon. I know his stats aren't showing that, but that's one of the things with Fields. He tends to kind of look to one receiver, and now it's DJ Moore, and everybody else is like a far second. The one thing about Bagent is that it appeared to me that he distributed the ball more effectively to more than 6-7 guys. He would distribute it to 7, 8, 9 guys. What do you think about that? Does that concern you, Danny, as much that Fields from the pocket needs to become more accomplished?
I think that this is the thing in the pocket. And this is earlier in the season when we first started. We talked about the season and previewing the season. You asked me, you and John asked me where I think Justin needs to improve, and I said his play clock in his head in the pocket. He's got to know that he can't hold the ball for 5, 6, 7 seconds. Within 3 seconds, pre-snap, he's going to have to identify what's going on. Post-time, he's going to have to identify quickly what's happening, if there's any adjustments, any changes, and then get rid of the ball within 3 to 4 seconds. Some if you have a great offensive line, you could put back there for 6, 7 seconds, but that's a rarity in the NFL. Okay, so that's where I think he needs to improve. I think in this game, we saw some of that. I think when in the game against Washington and in the game against Denver, we saw some of the quickness in terms of decision making after the game. Now he is going primarily to DJ Moore because that's his primary read. He's going read and he's giving more opportunities to make plays on the football. So I think whenever you see Justin in the game, he's targeting, he's going after DJ Moore. He's giving a little bit more time to get himself open or get an angle or get the leverage, or whether inside or outside, to beat his guy, and he's giving him an opportunity. I think that's what you typically do with the number one receiver. Now, in terms of Justin being a pure drop back passer, we had this question on Before 55 this past week. We said, he's not going to be a traditional drop back passer like, say, a Jared Goff or, like a Tom Brady or some of these guys, right? He's a guy that can make plays in the pocket. You have to make plays in the pocket. He also gives you some of it today, which is rolling out, changing his launch angle, changing his launch point, and giving defenses more things to think about. At the halftime, the Christina Pink, who was a sideline reporter, talked to Dan Campbell and said, "What's your main concern?" He said, "Fields, Fields, Fields, and Fields." That was his quote, saying that Justin Fields is giving us problems. So that's what I'm saying. Like, we can't just say, let's throw this kid out, he can't do it. Like, let's give him time to continue to get better from the pocket. I thought today, and I think Aldo sound like you might have agreed with me, there's some positives there. I talked about earlier, stepping up in the pocket, climbing the ladder. We don't see that typically with Justin Fields. We saw that today. We saw the ball getting out of his hands quickly, other than the couple of examples I've given you already. That just build on that. Continue to work on that. Now, the 17, 18 carries today that he had, that's too much in my opinion. You want to keep it to between 10 to 15 at the max. You want to keep running this kid over and over again, but but use his legs to be a weapon, to throw teams off. I love the fact in the first half they used the heavy sets, the 2 tight end sets that look like a lot of their run sets, but they used it to pass the football out of it. I like him under center with play action. I like the I formation stuff. Take this stuff and let's continue to build and build and build. And I think we're going to get there. You just need to continue to work with this kid and help him develop in the pocket. But again, my main thing with Justin is that play clock that's in his head. That's got to speed up. I saw some of it today. I saw an improvement. Maybe it was just sitting back for 4 weeks and watching Bajan run this offense. He did mention in his weekly press conference that there were times that he would run the plays in his head as Getsy's calling him to Bajan and then say, "Oh, okay." He wanted to ask Luke, "Why did you run that play? What did you see there?" If he gets on the same page with Getsy and they build his offense around that rushing attack, I think that's where you're going to see this obviously add more weapons, right? This is where you're going to see this offense kind of continue to get better and better. So I think his numbers today were somewhat, in terms of passing, were 169. There were a couple of big plays there that could have been had. We talked about the Tyler Scott one, some other plays that could have been had there as well that could have brought those numbers a little bit better. But again, for a guy been off for 4 weeks, I've rushed over 100 yards. I mean, him and DJ Moore were probably the best players on offense today again on the Bears side. And without Justin Fields in there, this game wouldn't have been close.
I'm going to ask you this question, and I want everyone in the chat room to answer this question too. What is the score of today's game if Marvin Harrison Jr. is the other receiver opposite DJ Moore? Because I feel that the Bears would have won by 2 scores easily. What do you think, Danny?
I love Marvin Harrison Jr. I mean, I haven't done my complete report on him, but I mean, just looking at the size, the speed. He might not run a 4.3 40. He might run a 4.4 4.5. We'll see what happens at the combine. But he's a guy with that length, with the catch radius, with the ability. Even if he's covered, he's one of those receivers. Even if he's covered, you could throw the ball to him. Imagine a combination of him and DJ Moore, and then Cole Kmet, who's developing as a pass catcher. And now, if you bring back Darnell Mooney, slide him into a proper position as a number 3 receiver, and then you have Tyler Scott as number 4. Now you got some speed, you got some size on the outside. I think adding him to this offense with Justin Fields, that's going to be 3 to 4 dynamic players on your offense, guys. And now you continue adding to the offensive line. This is where you get better as a team. This is where now you start putting up points. Not just bringing in a rookie quarterback or another quarterback and getting rid of Fields. Continue to work with them. Continue to kind of develop them. Whether it's Getsy or whether it's Ben Johnson, whether it's another offensive-minded coach that can come in and help him just kind of continue to develop that game. And again, it's that play clock in his head. Know to get rid of that football quickly. I think that's where you'll see this offense continue to get better and explode. But obviously, if you add a dynamic weapon like Marvin Harrison Jr. opposite of DJ Moore, that's going to just give you more options and obviously give you an opportunity to score more points versus really good teams.
Aaron Current, one of the co-hosts of the Barfly Tailgate Show, says, "I love Marvin Harrison Jr. I take him number 1, but you got to have a coaching staff that'll get the ball to him." Do you think that will be a problem? Do you think if Marvin Harrison is the key guy the Bears are going for in this upcoming draft, do you think that Ryan Post might stick with Luke Getsy?
Well, I honestly, I think this, like I said earlier, this game might have been the end of the Eberflus era. So I think that Washington gets you out with him. So I think what you do now is if you want to go ahead, and earlier, I think Ian Rappaport reported earlier that the Bears have to be blown away to take a quarterback first overall, which I don't know if that's just, it's early on. It's all gossip right now. But if that's the case, that would be good news in terms of, like what I would want to do is keep Justin Fields and continue to build around him. But yeah, I mean, if you have the number 1 overall pick, from Carolina, I would see what teams, Giants or anybody else that wants to give you a haul for the number 1 pick, take the head case out of USC, Caleb Williams, and you just move down, get Marvin Harrison Jr., pair him with DJ Moore, with Cole Kmet, with Donald Mooney, and that rushing attack with Khalil Herbert. And I would bring back Deontay Foreman. I love the way this kid plays, his toughness, his heart. Got banged up today with that angle again, but I would love to see him come back. You keep Anthony Johnson there as another 3-headed back and continue to add to your offensive line. That now you have the making of an offensive system. If you have as a head coach, or if it's a defensive mind, new head coach with a really innovative offensive play caller, get the ball into the hands of your playmakers and continue to put points. And then that's how I would like to see this team continue to grow offensively.
Mm-hmm. Tyler Scott is getting a lot of shit in the chat room. Danny, he had a tough game. No doubt about it. By the way, Eberflus might come out, and so I'll interrupt you. But when you scouted Scott coming out of college for the draft, what was your take on him? And did you see problems with his hands?
No, I mean, he has some drops. Yes, he had some drops, but he's a college receiver. But his main attribute is speed. His field stretching ability. And today he's a rookie. He's made some tough catches over the middle in previous games. So he's a guy that's going to have up and down season. But today was a tough game. That fumble led to their first touchdown. We mentioned earlier in the first half, and we talked about earlier, Aldo, and that deep ball looked like he just kind of lost the ball, slowed down for a bit. If he had just kept running full speed, he might have been that ball would have been running in his hands. That could have been a game-stealing catch there.
Eberflus is approaching the podium. He doesn't look like a happy camper. Let's get some good audio out of there. Let's go to him now.
Very disappointed in the loss, and really disappointed because of the way we played in the beginning. I thought the guys did a really nice job of coming out. Offense scores a touchdown on the first possession, that was our plan. Defense does a really good job of taking the ball away in the first half. Did a really nice job of that. The one thing that we could have done better in the first half was capitalizing on those takeaways, and then getting points, which we did in the second half. We got an interception and fumble. We capitalized on points. We got 10 points off of turnovers in the second half. But the main thing is that, obviously the disappointment was the finish. We didn't finish it as a football team, didn't finish it as coaches, as players, the right way. And there's a lot of plays to be had out there and good calls that we could have made in those situations to get us that victory. And again, I accentuated the positives with those guys because there was a lot of good football. Justin Fields came back, from injury. Thought he played really well, ran the ball nice. I thought when he did scramble, he avoided sacks, most of the time. And I know we had 2. And he did a really good job of looking downfield, hitting some side pockets, hitting some things down the field. And I think that's growth there with him. But again, we decided to in the second half. We decided to, with the inches there, 4th and inches, we decided to go ahead and kick that and go up 12 points with a little over 4 minutes to go. And then we just needed to execute better from that point. With that, open to questions. Yep. Yeah. Really the philosophy is you're playing your 2-minute defense, which is your mix and your coverages, which we did. We're throwing in pressures there as well. The big thing that you got to do in that moment is, tackle them when you get them in bounds, so you're forcing them to use their timeouts and you're doing a good job with that. And then they have less timeouts, less time as they go. And again, they just went down the field too fast. I mean, it was like 6 plays a minute, 16 or something like that, but it was just too fast. So we just got to do a better job. Yeah, the touchdown pass, they ran a high angle 7, got behind one of the DBs there, so we just got to do a better job staying back. We always got to play high to low on that situation when you give us that route. Yeah.
What did you like about the running?
Yeah, the first play was a handoff to go inside, right? Because we've been really running that play. We know obviously the cutback on the corner is where we wanted it. I thought they blocked it really well on that one. And the second one was a disconnect play, a potential disconnect, and they played way outside on that one. And so we handed it off. Then the third play was a crosser over to DJ. It was a crossing route, and if the free safety comes down, which he did, to take away the crosser, then we're going to throw it over the top. And I thought he had a nice read there, and I thought he just missed it by a step. And thought it was a good ball. I just got to run into the catch.
Did you interject or add anything during the play calling on that sequence, or is that just Luke's show at that point?
No, I mean, obviously we're talking to him about what we're going to do in terms of we need the first down, and I think that's an important part of it. And again, like I said, the first play call was fine. And then again, if they end up closing down, we're going to disconnect. And the pass play at the end was a good call. So it's just got to execute. Of course, you can always guess in the second part of it. Obviously we've been doing a really good job. I think he had over 100 some yards, right? Justin did, not all of them on scrambles and a lot of them on, 104 yards. He did a good job running that play, prior to that, and he did a good job there. He read it correctly. So that's where it is. Yep. Sure. Yep, you're always giving thought there, but going up by 12 at 4 minutes to go was our thought process there, and we like that.
And out the back of the end zone, you guys are desperate and just trying to get down. Is that to you a continuation of some of the issues that Justin has had in terms of pocket awareness and ball security?
No, that right there, that last play, you're going to hang on it to try to make a play, and I don't think that is. Okay. You talking about in the third quarter?
The one that put you up to 23-14, that was the fourth and five.
Yeah. Okay.
So if you said to go up 12,
was the 4 minutes, right? 4 minutes to go, right?
that was the fourth and five. That wasn't the fourth and
No, it was third and inches, right? We went for third and inches, right? Didn't get it, then we kicked.
right. That was to go up 9.
Okay.
So you were saying that you made a decision to go up 12, it's actually going 9. Serious about it.
Yeah. Both decisions were good. We're good on that. Go up 9. That's a full 2 scores. And then to go up 12. Again, that's exactly what we wanted to do. Yep. Yeah. I mean, like I said, it's about finishing. That's what I'm saying. The positives are there. To be able to run the ball and take the ball away, and that's something we've been hunting. To taking the ball away and give ourselves good field position. Now we can learn from that because we didn't get any points off of it in the first half. So that the score could have been a little bit more, starting out, in the half. So when you get the ball at the field, the plus field on offense, man, you got to punch it in. We'll take a field goal, but we got to get some touchdowns there, which we did in the second half.
Going back to the field for a second, you guys were the first team this year was scrambled for 2 yards on the line. They've had a couple of containing mobile quarterbacks on this schematically. What did you see leading up to the game that would be a weakness in there?
Yeah, I mean, they've been really good defense, and they've been doing it all year. So it's a strong group, it's a strong unit, and they played good enough to win today. And we really didn't see any weaknesses there. We just thought that when they do play coverage or match coverage and play man, where they're not having a spy in there for him, that's when we had our opportunities to take off and run. I thought he did a nice job of that. But overall, I thought Justin had a good day today.
When you talk about empty pass down in the open field, I think was the kids on the check down when Tremaine had him down there.
Yeah, there was a couple instances there. Those are huge plays. Because it forces timeouts and it also forces obviously you waste time and all that stuff. But those are big plays.
When you put this on your defense, 4 minutes to play all the time.
Mhm.
What's the thought process now? How do you build them back up? They have a chance.
Yeah. They've been playing really good defense, the last 6 weeks, and they played really good defense today at times. So we'll just accentuate the positives and look at the plays that we need to get better on, and what could have been called better. It's both. It's me and them. It's not just them. So we gotta look at it and see what we could have done better. Yeah, same thing. I mean, that's where the game was, right? We had a couple of opportunities to get some picks, so we got to make sure we catch those. That's a big thing. And again, we were working on that, so really trying to take the drill, from the game, what was the situation, like last week with Sanborn, he dropped back, in that last part of it, or, maybe Tyreek, in that slant pass last week, now he caught one, so, and Tyreek made some really good plays today. He tackled well, and obviously that pick was really, really good. And, but yeah, you try to do that as a coach, you take it from the game and just start drilling it, because that's what happens, and you got to make those plays.
When you look at Justin's overall game, the production, 169 yards passing, 104 rushing, is that enough for you guys to be a successful offense, or do you need more production in the passing game than 169 yards?
Yeah, I mean, when you always want major production, right? He's had a couple games this year, and again, when the numbers are the numbers, obviously we ran the ball really well today, and we were controlling the game that way much of the second half, and we just got to continue to do that. But we'll look at the tape and see where he needs to improve and see where everybody needs to improve.
And you said you're trying to keep the focus on the positives, so that's a really objective locker room. How do you keep this team committed and fighting the way you want?
Well, I mean, they're tough. They're in that room for a reason, because they got grit. They're tough. They're tough guys, right? So tough physically and tough mentally, and they have that mindset. And, they've had a lot of adversity. We've had a lot of adversity as the Chicago Bears, and it's only going to make us tougher. And to me, there's a lot of things you can build off of this game right here. And really the last 6 weeks you can build off of. And we're going to look at it. We're going to get better from it. And then we're going to move on. 24-hour rule. We're going to move on to the next week.
Thank you.
All right. That is head coach Matt Eberflus meeting with the media. Not a lot of positive things. In fact, not any positive things in the chat room about Eberflus, and you're shaking your head too. Your thoughts, Danny?
Yeah, I mean, it's we talk about although they dominated this game on most of the important facets, right? In terms of time possession, turnover battle. You win a turnover battle 4-1. Typically, you win these games. I don't know what the clip is, the numbers, but they got to be in the high 80%, I would think, right? If you win a turnover battle 4-1, I mean, they had 100, I think 183 yards rushing. The numbers I thought I just saw here real quick, and then so that gained them in terms of rushing attack. Now passing that towards the final end there, they ended up looking more in terms of 223 yards passing to 139 overall passing yards for the Bears. But 322 to 338 was the total offensive production for both teams. So you went toe to toe with the top team in your division at home in their stadium off your quarterback coming off a 4-week layoff, and you pretty much should have beat them. You should have won this game. Like every way I look at this, obviously third down was a problem. We talked about earlier, 7 for 11. They couldn't get off the field really in that first half, but you should have won this game, and you had a 12-point lead. And I keep repeating myself, with less than 5 minutes left in the game, you should win this game. And it's tough if you're a player in our locker room. Said, damn, what else we got to do? What else we got to do to get a victory here? And I think, like I said, I was coming into this post-game show ready to say, you know what, this could be a game or a career-saving, a victory for Eberflus and his staff. And then they just wound up choking it away and giving it away. And again, it's the fact that defensively, he brought some blitzes, but he was really just mainly dropping back in coverage. And Ben Johnson and Jared Goff were just picking them apart. And I always say the big thing is the middle of that defense is where they're soft, and that's where they attack them.
Mm-hmm. Media is rushing up to the podium and putting their microphones down by Justin Fields, and his press conference begins right now.
Yeah, I think, overall, I think we did a good job playing complementary football. The defense did a good job in the first half with the takeaways. I think the offense did a good job of, pushing the ball downfield, controlling the ball long, like 14-play drives, long play drives. So I think, overall we did good. I think where we got to get better at is just the situations. I think, of course, the 2-minute before the half, that was big. And, of course, the 2-minute at the end of the game. And then, when, offense, so we need a big play, we got to, hunker down and make those big plays. So, yeah, I think it's just it really just comes down to, those 2 drives and a few other plays mixed into there. So. I mean, yeah, it hurts. It hurts a lot. But, I think you just got to take the positives out of it and just learn from the loss. And like I said before, we did a lot of good things this game, and just got to build on that. So.
What did you see on the deep shot to Scott on third down there?
Yeah.
Safety came down right on
Yeah, safety came down right. Robert coverage. It was just one-on-one. He had him beat. and I think he just misjudged the ball. He was running straight, and then I think he tried to run a little bit like that, and got off balance a little bit, and that's what caused him to kind of lose his speed. So, he's a young player with a bright future in this league, and he'll be good and bounce back from that.
If that thing connects, and now you guys either score.
If that thing connects, yeah, I think that seals the deal in my opinion. So yeah.
Like before that, Bruce said you made the right call there to give to Khalil. Is that just the way the Lions were playing you? Second down run.
Second down before that play?
Was that a choice?
Yeah, I mean, there was a read option, and I just handed it off. So end was wide, yeah.
So you didn't come into that possession, I imagine, just based on the way you ran that throughout the game.
I mean, yeah, just the front. They have different fronts out of different personnel, so I think they were in base on that one. And when they're in base, they have 5 down linemen, which automatically makes the D end wider. But yeah, I think he got disrupted. But yeah, that was for sure a good read because if I'm getting any option 50-50 pull it, I'm gonna do it. So yeah, that was a good read for sure.
Your 18 run today with the 9 run, did you kind of have a feeling that was going to be the way to really, cash this defense?
If it was, then I that was just in the plans, to be honest with you. But I mean, yeah, the DN takes the running back, then I'm out on the edge, and if he plays me, then I'm taking him away from the runner, and hopefully another defender. So yeah, I mean that's just what we had in the game plan, and of course, I think we did a good job on the ground running the ball. O-line did a heck of a job, in the run game, protecting all game. So
From the offense down the stretch, what would have pushed you guys from field goals into touchdowns in some of those cases, or maybe a longer drive on that 3 and out?
On the last 3 and out?
Yeah, the last 3 and out, and then
Or the one before the last drive?
The 3 play, the one that we were just talking about with the
With
deep shot to Tyler, yeah, and then before that,
I mean, like I said, it's
field
just,
goals the first.
like I said before, it's just like situational. The one that got up through the Khalil, man coverage, they played the play pretty well. Didn't have anywhere else to go, so kind of threw it out of bounds, threw it away. And then the last one, like I said, if we connect on that deep shot, I mean that's most likely game over. So yeah, just being able to lock in on those plays where we need to, make those big plays happen. And I think that's the next step for us. And the next step that we got to get to. So.
What'd you see on the last drop back? You're waiting to see if somebody got open.
Yeah, I mean, they all sunk. I was about to get to my check down. I was about to, boom, go check it down. And right when I did, the ball got smacked out of my hand. So, yeah. Yeah, I got the same question. How did my thumb feel? Felt good. Held up pretty good. So, yeah, didn't really affect me in any way today. So, it felt good.
Before the 2-minute warning, it looked like Andre was doing something with your hand.
Yeah, so my middle finger, I don't want to flick y'all off, but my middle finger, it just started bleeding pretty crazy out there. So I just had to go on the sideline, get some liquid Band-Aid put on there and stop the bleeding. But yeah, didn't have anything to do with the thumb. So. Yeah, I mean, I was just feeling it, Of course, that was a big 3rd and 15, and we got a big gain on that. So that was a big conversion. And yeah, just feeling a little bit. So I don't know. Yeah, I have no idea. I can't tell you. So yeah, just first thing that popped in my mind. So yeah.
Go ahead, Joe.
Just in your position right now, when your team's 3 and 8, you had to carry a lot of the load offensively, 104 on the ground, 169 in the air. How do you keep your team and their morale to not dip so low, especially being the leader of this team?
I mean, we just played a heck of a team. Number 1 in our division. Like I said, probably top 3, top 5 in the league right now. So, and if I'm keeping it real with y'all, we should have won that game. It just comes down to finishing and, executing at the end of the game. So, that's how you do it. Jared Goff, he does a great job not turning the ball over, and the way our defense was able to, create takeaways was big for us. And, as an offense, we got to, of course, turn those into touchdowns rather than field goals or no points at all. But, I mean, yeah, that's kind of how you keep the morale up. We know who we are. We know what kind of team we are. And, we just got to be better. We just got to finish. And like I said, when those big moments happen, when we need those big plays, we got to execute.
How hard is it to keep the positive side of it or look at the moral victory of it when you're going through this?
It's not hard. I mean, you accept what happened and you move on. Like I said, you take the positives, learn from, what we need to learn from and keep going. Like, we're not going to suck over a L. Like, it is what it is. Keep pushing. We got a game next week. So, just got to keep going and just keep working and keep getting better.
You had the injury itself, but you also had the layoff, the month or more between games. Did you feel like that affected you at all, or how did you make sure that it wouldn't?
It affected me positively. Shoot, I felt like it was the first game of the season out there, so my body felt good. I was just trying to practice, just to keep my conditioning up, running wise and stuff like that. So, my body felt good, 100% going into the game. So, yeah.
Successful against the Lions throughout the entire game, like last couple of minutes. What did you see change from them schematic?
Like which part?
Just like they would get pressure on.
You talking about the last play?
Yeah.
I think to help Darnell out, Hayden, he rushed high. Just got to step up in the pocket and do better. But, I know Darnell was beating himself up after the game, and, he's going to learn from that, get better. But, to help him out, I got to step up in the pocket and, just help him out. And, yeah.
Cole's saying that this group is kind of past moral victory. You guys can figure out a way to win games like this. You mentioned situations, like what are the keys to make sure the execution comes together in the key moments?
Just finish. Like I said, the Debo to Tyler, he's got to lock in and run through that. And defense, I talked to, TJ after the game, and he said it to me, like, the matter of the fact is we can't let up 12 points in the last however so minutes there were in the game. So, just finishing. And, when it comes down to it, just making plays. So you can't really explain it. You kind of just got to go out there and do it, to be honest with you. So, yeah.
How did you see more of the play unfold when you hit DJ for the touchdown?
For the touchdown, yeah. You should have had another post for a touchdown. I overthrew him on the first one. And, but yeah, we knew going into it, the safety kind of gets nosy on, high crosses, low crosses, and he sometimes plays it low. So just saw the low safety and put the post on it. I told him I wasn't going to miss him on it again if we came back to it. And, of course, DJ ran a great route. Line protected. Just felt like I had it all day back there on that one. But, yeah, I just delivered the ball to DJ. Of course, he did a good job of getting his feet down, and it was a great play all around. After that play, I just went up to him and told him again that I told him that I wasn't gonna miss him twice. So we were all pumped up and pumped up for sure. So yeah.
You get a chance to catch up with David Montgomery after the game, and if you did, that kind of bittersweet.
Of course I did. David's my brother. No matter where we are, in life, in our football careers, and as much as it sucks, seeing him win, I'm happy for him. And he's a great person, and of course a great player. So it was great seeing him.
Wow, man. I first of all, I love that press conference. He said so many things, and what he ended with there, talking about his brother, David Montgomery, was really touching. These athletes build these bonds with certain players and so forth. That is really something that many of us normal human beings don't go through when you are working out and going through all the challenges and so forth. Playing against his old teammate had to be special for him. A couple of other things that really stuck out for me, Danny, is he talked about how fresh he felt, and that is great news. He's got the next game is on a Monday night, and then they got a bye, so he should finish this season feeling 100% healthy. He should be firing on all cylinders. I think that's good news, because what he did today, I thought he issued a promise. Hey, I'm back. I know how to play this game. The coach is allowing me to play this game the way I want to play this game. So that was good. And then the other thing is, I love the candor when he said to the reporters, if I'm being honest with you, we should have won this game. Yep. Exactly right. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, that was what I was going to touch on right there. Aldo was the leadership, because people go up there and be like, oh, it's 1 week and we'll go back to the grind. We'll look at the tape and we'll come back next week and we're ready to play. No, he said, you know what, guys, honestly, we should have won this game. We were talking about it before he jumped up there, that they should have won this game, right? TJ Edwards, he said in the locker room, told them that hey, that's on them. The defense should not have given up a 12-point lead with less than 5 minutes left in the game. So, the fact that they up there, the leadership between him and TJ Edwards and some of the other young guys on this team, that's what you want to see. He's going to go out there. He's going to tell his guys, listen, guys, we could have won this game. We went head to head with the top team in our division, top 3-5 team in the NFL. At their place, me coming off a 4-week, injury layoff, and we could have won this. We should have won this game, and that's how you come back next week versus Minnesota. If you're a young team, saying, all right, we're getting there, we're getting better, and that's how you kind of come back to the grindstone, because it's once you get this losing culture and you keep losing week in and week out, you just feel like, man, no matter what we do, we're going to end up losing the game. And that's the thing that they have to eliminate. And, when Eberflus and Poles talks about the culture that they're building, but yet it's been a losing culture. It's not a positive culture. So you got to turn it around. And I thought this was going to be that game that's going to be able to help them, springboard and turn that around. But unfortunately, they ended up just choking it away. So, that's the leadership that you see from Justin Fields, defensive captains coming to him and telling him, hey, this is on us, not on you. Don't worry about this. This kid, everything that we've heard, this kid is beloved by his teammates. He's got what they call that it factor in terms of in the locker room. Guys love playing for him. They want to, every time he gets hit extra, you see offensive linemen rallying to the defender, getting in their face and going to the referee saying, hey, listen, we need a flag here. What is going on here? That shows me that these guys love this player and they will follow him. It's just, obviously they're still kind of, gathering some pieces on offense and kind of, learning how to win. But that's what you need. You need a coach that can come in here and build some confidence and get this team over that edge and start winning those close games and then hopefully build a winning culture, not a losing culture.
Ian Rappaport wrote before the game that sources told him that the Bears are evaluating Justin Fields over these last 7 games now. One is in the books. Do you think that if Ryan Poles is evaluating this game as part of that 7-game evaluation, he's got to give Justin Fields a plus here. And then obviously he's evaluating the coaching staff and the offensive play calling and probably give them a better grade than he would have maybe a couple of games ago, but still a failing grade. Do you agree?
Defensively, yes. Defensively, I keep repeating myself. You can't blow that 12-point lead with less than 5 minutes left in the game, especially since you've been controlling the game pretty much in terms of time possession, turnover battle, all that stuff. But obviously, like this, Luke Getsy, I think did some positive things for me. Like today, it's hard for me. I know in the chat, a lot of people are attacking Getsy, and I don't find much. Again, if I'm nitpicking, why too much of the shotgun runs, get under center. I formation that was successful. You guys were winning that battle up front. But I think Getsy had a good overall game plan. I think they put 322 yards total on the board, 26 points overall. That should be good enough to win you week in and week out. It's just you needed to stop here and there on defense to go ahead and secure this game. And obviously, everyone seems to forget that pick 6 that was in Jalen Johnson's hands in that first half. That could have been. That could have been right there, the game winner right there. So, Jalen holds on to that football. That's a whole different ball game. That's 4 interceptions for golf. Who knows what happens there? But it's the things that finishing. That's why we're talking about finishing. And if you go up to the coach every week, says we got to finish. Well, you and your coaching staff has to help this team learn how to finish, and that's where I'm saying they're failing this young football team. So. But yeah, I mean, there's different areas but Getsy was not a guy that I was going to pick on today. Obviously, we'll take a look at the all 22 and see. I'm sure you'll find some things here and there where you questionable plays, but you could talk about the going conservative on 4th and 1. You talked about the drop pass by Tyler Scott. We talked about the fumble by Tyler Scott in the first half. We talked about the missed opportunity for a pick 6. Teams that like the Bears that are just kind of like don't have the overall talent to compete with some of these upper echelon teams. When you have the opportunity to put points on a board or finish off a big time team, you got to take a chance. You got to take advantage of that. You can't let it slip by. And unfortunately, too many opportunities for the Bears to kind of seal this victory slip by, and eventually the victory slipped by.
I love it when people in the chat room or football fans in general, whether you're talking to them or interacting with them on social media, talk about stuff like they know it's a fucking fact. Collect Baseball is just talking shit in the chat room, and he's pissing me off. So fuck you, dude. There it is. I said
it's not a day to mess with Aldo, guys.
No, not the way we lost this game. You've been watching for 50 years, so the fact that you've been watching for 50 years, you know how shit works. Okay, yeah. Well, guess what? I've been watching since 1967, so add it up, motherfucker. All right. See, he's mad at me because I'm a liberal and he's a conservative. That's why he's
This
that's why
has
he's
nothing to do
going
with
off on me.
politics.
Yes,
Nothing to do with
that's why
politics,
he's
it's
going
football.
off at me. He came here to argue with me just because my politics are different than his, which shows what a piece of shit he is. And I'm fucking blocking him from ever coming back. See you, asshole. And I apologize to John Buffone and Coach T. We normally don't swear on this show, but my patience is about this long right now. Thank you, Tareen. So anyway, let's get our final thoughts here. We got a game coming up against the Minnesota Vikings in 7 days, 7 days, if you count them starting tomorrow. Monday Night Football against the Vikings. As part of my final questions for you, Danny, is what do you think? This is the team that injured Justin Fields and sat him out for 4 games. The exotic blitzes by Brian Flores, the defensive coordinator over there. Are you concerned about this game? What's your thinking heading into this game?
Right. Obviously, I mean, this is a team that's, I believe, won 4 or 5 wins in a row, starting with that victory at Soldier Field earlier in week 6. Obviously, Kirk Cousins is out, but Josh Dobbs has come in there and done a remarkable job. But he's a different kind of quarterback. He's a guy that can use his feet and get away from pressure and beat you with his legs. So, dual threat quarterback. I believe Justin Jefferson might be back next week for his first game back against the Bears. So that's another big time weapon there. You have to contend with. And you talked about Brian Flores and his ability to blitz. And I think the game plan. This is where I think you and I kind of start off in terms of that first play set. Right. It was empty, and then Justin didn't roll away from the pressure, and he got sacked on the first play. That's the kind of stuff you got to stay away from if you're Luke Getsy and Justin Fields. Is hopefully they learned their lesson from that game and just build off of this game. Right, we talked about continue to run the ball, build your passing game off of the play action, off of those dual 12-man personnel sets and all that's a heavy sets, and just continue to do that. Maybe it's some more 2-man routes instead of 3-man routes. But you got to be able to protect Justin. Justin's got to be able to get himself out of harm's way. If for example that first play happens where there's a free defender coming at him, he's got to get down or get rid of the football. Hopefully they learn from that and they build a game plan that can beat them. But defensively, this is going to be a challenge. They cannot really run the ball, Minnesota. So I think this is going to be the Bears' strength is their weakness. So I don't think the running game is going to beat them. I think where they're going to beat them is in the passing game, especially if Justin Jefferson's back. And can you protect or can you stop the pass? Matt Eberflus and his defense. So we'll see how that happens. But yeah, it's a game you got to be worried about. Another division game. We know Eberflus now is 0-9 in his division. So he hasn't won a division game yet as a head coach. So we'll see how that goes. But it doesn't look like it's a game that I'm excited for the Bears' opportunities in terms of going in there and pulling off a victory in Minnesota.
Yeah, that's the tough part. It's another tough venue to play in. It's loud, just like it was at Ford Field. The young players, hopefully the experience they had today will help them with their composure against Minnesota. I do like our chances to win that game, Danny, but I'm not going to go to the betting window and put $100 on the Bears to win. That's for sure. I also do believe that playing the Vikings at this point is a great matchup for the Chicago Bears in terms of their growth, in terms of, what can you accomplish after your performance in Detroit, where you took the division leaders all the way down deep into the fourth quarter. And now you're playing a team that is really hot. I'm not sure what happened today with the Vikings, but you're playing tonight. You're playing tonight. Okay. So I'll be watching that game very closely. So now you're going to go into that venue playing a hot team who's probably coming into the game with 5 or so straight wins, or if not 5 out of 6. And, let's see, it's a good measuring stick for me. And my biggest hope, of course, is that all of these young players, including Justin Fields, are that we need to be the nucleus of this organization going forward so that we can invest our draft picks in a wide receiver, in a pass rusher, in some of the other things that can help this team quickly become a contender, that we can focus on that as opposed to looking at the Calebs and the Mays and some of these other quarterbacks. Yeah.
Yep.
So speaking of those quarterbacks, what are your thoughts on the two top quarterbacks, May and Williams, given that their regular seasons are just about over?
Yeah, I mean, for me, obviously, I've been the contrary in terms of what some of the hype is for Caleb Williams. He's a guy that has been called a generational talent, which I don't agree with. I mean, for me, no 6'1" quarterback is generational talent. His decision making on the football field this year for me has taken a bit of a dip. Some might say it's because of the lack of weapons on offense that he has around him. Some of the stuff off the football field, although you and I have talked about, there were some questions from scouts I've talked to early on in the season where they wanted to see him prove himself off the field more so than on the field. So I think, that some of that stuff has come up in terms of, his maturity or lack thereof off the football field. So, do you want to invest in a kid that could be immature? The question is, will 53 men, not college students or college athletes, follow him? Now that's the thing you have to look at, especially if you're going to make him the face of your franchise. Going in, and again, I'm in the minority here, but for me, I like Drake May a little bit more than Caleb Williams right now. He's not the athlete, the guy that can make things out of nothing happen like a Caleb Williams, but he's more of a traditional, 6'4", big guy, big quarterback back there. Someone will deem him as a pocket passer, but he's sneaky athletic. He's the guy that could use his legs to go ahead and get some first downs. He's not a Justin Fields or he's not a Caleb Williams in that aspect, but he's not also a statue back there. So, if you had told me right now, Aldo, make your final decision, who would you take, Drake May or Caleb Williams? I'm leaning a little bit over to Drake May. I do like some other quarterbacks later on in this draft, and we can get into it as the draft season starts, but guys like Bo Nix, unfortunately, Jordan Travis is the guy I liked a lot. He got injured yesterday. It looked like a horrible injury. That looked like me a season-ending one. So we'll see how he recovers from that. But there are some other guys. Michael Pratt from Tulane, not big name guys, but guys you might be able to get late day 2, early day 3, possibly. Then come in here and you can put them in a competition with Justin or with Tyson Bagent or something like that. I like, just like you. I want to use our potential top 10 picks on difference-making positional players: Marvin Harrison Jr., Keon Coleman, receiver from Florida State, a pass rushing defensive end or defensive lineman. Maybe trade down and get more assets for next year's draft. Maybe you have if next year you're still going into with questions about Justin, Shadur Sanders, that kid from Colorado, Prime's son, might be available in the draft. There's always guys that come out, a year or two later that say, all right, these guys could be, the possible, heir apparent at quarterback. So, that's what I would love to do is not worry about this class that's been deemed great a little bit prematurely. And for me, it's a lot of these Twitter draft guys have kind of put that out there. A lot of the scouts I've talked to have had questions on both guys, on the entire class. And they're not, to me, the guys I've talked to haven't said generational talent, the next Patrick Mahomes, which you hear all over ESPN and some of the other broadcasts. So, but if you had to ask me to answer your question, if you had to ask me today who I like to pick between Caleb Williams or Drake May, I'm right now on November 19th, I'm leaning towards Drake May over Caleb Williams.
Matthew asked a question: is Caleb more accurate than Justin Fields? Because I think that's a good question. I see Caleb make some sensational, off balance kinds of throws, and then there are other times where I see him and I think to myself, Justin is more accurate than him. What do you think?
Yeah. In terms of college wise, I think Justin was more accurate at college. Now you're talking me projecting him at the next level. It's going to be a little bit difficult. Obviously I haven't seen Caleb Williams play, but what he does is, the thing you like about him is he comes from, Lincoln Riley, a guy who's tutored, the Jalen Hurtses and some of the other quarterbacks that have been number one picks, in the league. So he has an idea in terms of how the passing game is supposed to go. And there are times where he is accurate. He's on the money. He's got a strong arm. Like I said, he can throw from any single angle in terms of his arm angle. He can adjust and make throws from all different kind of platforms. So you do like that about him. He's going to come in about right around 6'1", I think. So he's not a big physical specimen. He is thicker in terms of his lower half. So he's got some power in terms of his contact balance and be able to break tackles that way. And he is a dual threat, quarterback, but his decision-making really has taken a dip for me. Again, a lot of that's been based off of it's basically him out there for USC this year, and he's just trying to make something out of nothing. But still, just a decision making in terms of throwing a ball up for grabs. He thinks his arm can beat any other defensive back and trying to zip it into tight spots. Some of that stuff really kind of bothers me. And obviously, we talked about the off the field stuff. So to me, he's not a generational talent. I can't call him a generational talent right now. So. But yeah, there are. I guess to answer your question, there are some times where I don't think he's as accurate as to me Justin was coming out of Ohio State. But again, Justin had bigger passing windows, right? And his Ohio State receivers were 3, 4, 5 yards open. So I think both guys have issues with holding on to the football. Caleb Williams will hold on to the football similar to Justin does, because these guys that have the ability to use their legs and be playmakers feel like they can always elude the defenders and buy more time for the guys downfield. So you'll notice if you watch USC, he holds on to the football a lot and is taking some sacks because he just hasn't gotten rid of the football as well. So some of the similarities are there as well in terms of, some of the processing and all that stuff. But again, for me, you've already invested 4 years in Justin Fields. I would just love to continue to build around him and keep him as a quarterback. You can bring in someone later on in the draft. Like I said, it should be a pretty solid depth in terms of that quarterback class and along with Tyson Bagent and have them compete. I'm not saying Justin should come in next year and just be given the job, have him go out there, earn it. But yeah, I would rather build his roster, continue building his roster with some premier talent than again, take another stab at this quarterback position.
I'm with you 100%. It is time to put the weapons around the quarterback, and I'm hoping that Justin Fields continues to progress over these last 6 games so that we can confidently move into the 2024 season. And if he doesn't, then we have to look at the quarterbacks. That's just a fact. That's just the way that it looks like. 4,000 Clover says that Notre Dame game left Williams shook. It certainly did. Since that Notre Dame game where he threw 3 interceptions, Caleb Williams, he hasn't been quite the same quarterback. And the fact that he didn't meet with the media yesterday after his latest loss, I saw, Danny, that you tweeted that he, that kind of shows the lack of leadership component that he's going to have to improve on when he gets to the next level. And I'll remind people that after the Utah game, he refused to get up and shake hands with the opposing team after Utah upset them. So that was a huge mark against them.
Some of the signs we've talked about in terms of some of the scouts have told me, there's questions coming into the season about his maturity off the football field. And that's what I was talking about there. Like, that was just a small example. Some might say it's not a big deal. Okay, it may not be a big deal, but it's a big deal if you're the face of the franchise, you're the first overall pick. And then one day he says, I'm not going to go up and talk to the media because I had a bad game. Well, that's not what you do here in the NFL. You have to go up there and talk to the media. You got to face the media. You got to answer the questions, even if you don't want to. So, things like that and just some leadership stuff. We see him the Notre Dame game where I saw him, a coach is trying to talk to him, calm him down. He's pushing away that coach's hands. I think things happen on the sideline. So I'm not just kind of, pinpointing that and say, oh, look at this. We've seen Tom Brady go toe to toe with Bill O'Brien, and now he's the greatest of all time. So that happens in the heat of the moment, but it adds to some of this. And then his play this year where he feels like he's got to do everything by himself, goes outside the structure of the offense a lot of times. Those are the things that kind of you have to kind of sit back and kind of dive into them if you're a scout or if you're a GM making a big commitment to a guy like number 1 overall and see, what's going on there. Is that something they have to be alarmed with? Is there something that can be coached out of them? Is he a guy that's coachable? Is he a guy that's going to have that, what they call the it factor, right? We see his dad doing a lot of talking in the media for him, and that he wants something about her, something his dad asked for, that Caleb wants ownership of a team or something like that. And some ridiculous stuff. And again, you don't know what to believe. It's all, hyperbole right now in the media and stuff like that. So things like that have to be investigated before you say this kid is the next, great, superstar quarterback. I just hate putting that title, elite title, on players that haven't yet proven it to me.
I agree with you. Well said, and a great job, Danny. I want to let people know that our coverage is abbreviated this week because it's a Thanksgiving Day holiday. Greg Gabriel and I will be back here on Tuesday morning at 11 a.m. Central Right now, we don't have a show scheduled for tomorrow, but I'm going to talk to Mike North and see if he can do his press conference Monday morning. And then on Tuesday, after the Gabriel show, a few hours later, we'll have Bare Their Souls. And then on Wednesday, right now, things are up in the air. We'll let you know. The best way to stay on top of stuff is to subscribe to the YouTube channel for the Barroom Network and also to our audio podcast. We've got a lot of great audio podcasts, including a Bulls one that's not on video and you can only get it via audio podcast. Danny, any last words for your fans?
Just stay tuned, man. This is going to get interesting. Obviously, I love the way that Justin came back today and showed command and showed that playmaking ability on offense. Defensively, for 3.5 quarters, it looked pretty good. It looked like they're Montez Sweat was making his presence felt. The young guys are making plays. Jalen Johnson, if you can just hold on to that football, you have a pick 6 there. So, this is like Justin said in this press conference, this is the best team in the division, and you went toe to toe with them and should have beat them, in their home. So, so there are some positives there, but again, it just comes down to you can't blow that lead with 12 double-digit point lead with less than 5 minutes left in the game, and you look at the defensive coordinator who happens to be your head coach, and that's where the point I point the finger to in terms of why this team was lost today.
All right. For Danny Shimon, I'm Aldo Gandia. Take care, everyone. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.